Hello and welcome back to the Done Deal YouTube channel. I'm David OC and today we're getting a first drive at the all-new Audi A6 e-tron, and we're going to cover 7 of the most important things you need to know when it comes to buying one. Let's start by talking about prices. Now, it is important to note that this is built on the PPE platform, which means that it is very diverse and there's lots of different versions. So the standard one is about 74,500 euros. It gets an 86 kilowatt hour battery and has a range of about 622 kilometers. Next up is the performance version. It has a 100 kilowatt hour battery and an amazing 751 kilometers. It's rear wheel drive and prices start at about 84,000 euros. Following that, there is the A6 e-tron Quattro, 711 kilometer range and prices start at just over 90 grand. And then there is the S6, which has over 500 brake horsepower, about 660 kilometer range, and prices for that are a little over 109,000 euros. And it is important that you can get all of these as a Sportback or also an Avant, and the Avant is about 1,800 euros extra. Now that was an awful lot to take in. However, if you listen carefully, you might have heard me say 751 kilometer range. That is absolutely bonkers, and that's thanks to this being the most aerodynamic car Audi have ever produced. It has a coefficient of 0.21. 0.24 if you go for the Avant like we have here, but that is staggering. It's all these little touches like the vent through there, and actually the grille opens and closes as you need it. There's a beautiful and very efficient diffuser at the rear, which all just contribute to being as aerodynamic as possible. Let's talk charging. So first of all, the fast charger, the CCS, is over on this side, which is the opposite of an ID4, and that's quite important when using the Irish infrastructure because there's a lot of ID4s and sometimes you can skip the queue. Now, 270 kilowatt fast charging, that means you can gain 310 kilometers in 10 minutes, which theoretically means with about a 10 or 15 minute stop, you should be able to drive this car 1,000 kilometers straight. And there is also just a regular charger here. Both charge ports can't be open at the same time, so that one had to close and now this one opens, which is nice and handy because if you need to charge on this side or that side at home, you have your options. There's a load of cool features on this, like OLED rear lights that have 8 different signatures. There's also a passenger MMI system if you get a particular pack. But one of the really cool ones I like is there's a frunk under here, and to open it, you have to speak really nicely to the Audi and say, please open, and up it pops. And in here, this is actually a great place to put your charge cables, or actually in the real world, put a takeaway there. It doesn't stink out the car. So to drive, it is really smooth, very quiet and very tranquil. The other thing I quite like about it is, as standard, you get things like adaptive cruise control, and those 360 cameras just make parking in tight spots really easy. On top of that, when you put your foot down, it is really, really quick, and it's on some Michelin Pilot Sport EV tires, which grip phenomenally actually, to be very fair. And as a whole, it's lovely. The regenerative braking as well, it can be switched on and off and modified, but it's very aggressive, which if you're used to driving an electric car is brilliant because it just means most of your driving is done with just a single pedal. And lastly, it's just quite a comfortable place to sit. The seat is very comfortable, the steering wheel, everything's very adjustable to get it just right for you, which I do really appreciate. Interestingly, this is the first ever Audi that these rings light up at night time. Now, inside the boot, there is 502 litres, which is actually quite spacious. And what's really interesting about it is it doesn't change whether you get the Avant or the Sportback. The only thing is the Avant will have a little bit better space here, so if it's dogs or loading a lot of things, it will be easier. The seats also do fold, and as we mentioned a while ago, there is a front boot too. And last but not least is the amount of spec that comes as standard with the version that costs 74,500 euros. You'll get the light up Audi rings, you'll get surround cameras, 19-inch alloy wheels, and so much more. And my best advice is to visit your local Audi dealership. If you'd like to find out where that is, you can hit the link up there, and that will take you to your nearest dealership where you can then ask them a little bit more about the specific specs and packages. But hopefully you've learned a lot from this review, and if you have any questions at all, feel free to ask below, and we'll see you in the next one.